Quarterback competition. And if it is, congratulations, I'm calling it on March 19th at 4:02 p.m. Kyler Murray has won the quarterback competition because he's a better fit.
Trying to build drama and suspense here in the offseason.
He's a better player. He wouldn't have gone, frankly. He should have had 31 offers because it's Kyler Murray who's played a lot of ball at a high level for $1.3 million because of the offsets in his contract. So he's got a lot of options. He's not going to go anywhere. He doesn't think he's going to play. So that's the first part of that. That's just practical. But then you look at it, he comes into Minnesota with a much better skill set than Sam Darnold had when he came to Minnesota 2 years ago, resurrected his career and became a Super Bowl winner and made a whole boatload of money in the process because of it. You look at the things that overlap. Now, there's differences. Kyler Murray did not play a lot under center in Arizona. Kevin O'Connell likes doing that. A couple of schematic things. There's not a mismatch. There's a little bit of a mismatch. But the things they can do well, corner routes, throwing outside the numbers, throwing to guys who get separation, which happens in Minnesota. There's more of a scheme fit than people think between Kyler Murray and Kevin O'Connell. This receiving core, this skill group is going to accentuate everything Kyler Murray does, open up running lanes. Kevin O'Connell's never had a scrambler like this, ever. Sometimes there's scheme fits, sometimes there's scheme expansions. This is a scheme expansion with Kyler Murray in that Vikings offense.
Okay, I want to talk about the whole scheme expansion because I find that interesting talking point, but Sam Darnold going to the Minnesota Vikings. Sam Darnold was a better quarterback than Kyler Murray is going into Minnesota. That's just a fact. Just because you didn't see it yet, doesn't mean that it wasn't true because we actually saw it with the 49ers if you looked closely enough and understood and if you actually listened to the other coaches that were working with Sam Darnold, whether it be a Shanahan, whether it be a Palmer, etc. Minnesota Vikings gave him the opportunity to truly show it at a significantly higher and larger level, but we've seen Kyler Murray play for years and it's just no. And when you talk about scheme fit, yes, it was a seamless fit for Kevin O'Connell and Sam Darnold. Now, here's what's interesting because this is where you kind of ebb and flow with the role of a coach. And sometimes the coach, it's you're there to meet the quarterback where they're at in terms of let's build around you. Let me do all the things to enhance what you can do. And sometimes it's kind of reverse where it's like, no, the quarterback has to meet the coach. It's more about what the coach wants to do because the coach is going to be able to pull those levers in a way that ultimately will put this team in the best possible position to succeed. And like anything, it's not going to be like an either. You're kind of going to be meeting in the middle. And it is something that I think Andy Reid has done better than like any other coach out there because he's worked with so many different quarterbacks and has consistently shown to just be the most adaptable ebb and flow offensive coach in a way that we simply have not seen out of the McVays. We haven't seen out of the Shanahans. We haven't seen out of the Kevin O. We haven't seen out of those coaches that everyone says is like they're great, they're elite, etc. etc. And they are great coaches and I love those coaches and they're brilliant and awesome and all of that, but like that's where Andy Reid's track record is quite frankly literally by definition second to no one. It just is. And that's just as he's been around for so long and has coached so many different offenses, so many different quarterbacks and he's shown to be able to be adaptable in that way and be able to meet quarterbacks where they're at, also elevate them, also do what he wants to do, but also reinforce what they do great as well. And the reality is we haven't seen that out of Kevin O'Connell. And again, we haven't seen it out of the McVays. We haven't seen it out of the Shanahans. We haven't seen it out of any of those guys. So, this isn't a knock on Kevin O'Connell by any stretch of the imagination. But this is where a relationship like this if it's going to work has to be incredibly dynamic. And if you are talking about a scheme expansion, which I think that's, I think that's actually a good way and an interesting way to look at it because a lot of people are looking at and saying, hey, what Kyler Murray does is not necessarily what Kevin O'Connell wants to do. And that's not what really makes things, is not what makes this offense at its best. What's interesting is that what Kyler Murray does at his best is also not what makes something at its best. So that's why it's not a matter of just well hey you got Kyler you have this skill set it's up to Kevin O'Connell to make it work. It's like that's not true either and that's why it has to be kind of this how do we meet in the middle? How do we combine forces? How do you make me? Let's just make it really dumb, and this is not the way how it is, but I always like to just reduce things to the simplest form. Let's just say Kyler Murray's great at running and Kevin O'Connell is great at passing. And it's like the name of the game is to not say Kyler, you're now with me, Kevin O'Connell, you're not going to run anymore. We're going to pass, and I'm just going to make you a better passer. And it the other way is not like, hey, hey, Kyler Murray's like, hey, Kevin O'Connell, you got me now. I'm the runner. You're going to pass less and now we're going to run more. And again, I'm telling you that's not the way how it actually is. But I'm just using that as a placeholder to make it the easiest possible way to have the conversation. But it's got to be kind of a combination. It's got to be like, hey, I can run. Hey Kevin, you're really smart. What can we do with this? Not only in the running lane, but now also, how can that enhance our passing game? And combined with that with how do you make me a better passer as well, which then also enhances my run. It becomes this kind of feedback loop. So, you're going to see there's going to be a couple things that are going to be really interesting here, honestly. And it might be a little tricky, but you're going to see the versatility of Kevin O'Connell. How versatile is Kevin O'Connell of a coach? And I'm actually really excited because again, I love Kevin O'Connell, but there's still plenty to learn from him as a coach. So, I'm really excited to see what that looks like, as well as can someone like Kyler Murray prove to be able to still have room to grow and evolve all these years later. I'm not so sure that Kevin O'Connell has shown his ability to actually develop quarterbacks. I think he's been great at putting existing talent in positions to succeed. And that is what I had said going into last season with J.J. McCarthy, where I said, because I do believe in J.J. Like I haven't abandoned him. I really haven't. But I said, listen, Kevin O'Connell has not shown his ability to actually elevate young raw talent. He's shown his ability to put existing talent in positions to succeed. And that's what we saw with Kirk Cousins. That's what we saw with Sam Darnold specifically. And even a couple other backup type scenarios as well with some backup quarterbacks. But we have not seen a quarterback who's like, I need to learn how to play quarterback. Like, I need to learn how to get better at being a quarterback. And that's why I always use the example of like there's a translation that's needed. When a Kirk Cousins comes to a team and he's with an Andy Reid, a Kevin O'Connell, a Sean McVay, like there's no translation that's needed. Zero. None. They're speaking the same language right away. They're speaking the same language right away. You put a Mahomes on the team, you put Dak Prescott on the team, like they're all speaking the same language right away. You bring in now a Caleb, you bring in J.J. McCarthy, you bring in I can keep going on and on. There's a translation that's going to need to take place. There's going to be a translation that needs to take place. There's going to be a ton of teaching, a ton of confusion, and it's just like you're not going to just be able to say, hey, I need you to do X. And you just know, well, yeah, Kirk Cousins and then Dak, and etc. Like, they just know to do X, and perfect, you're good. You can just kind of just go on from there, right? You already got that foundation. Kyler Murray's a little bit of a mixed bag in that regard. It really is. It's kind of a mixed bag. And so that's why do I think could we see the best current version of Kyler Murray with the Minnesota Vikings? I do, because I believe in Kevin O'Connell. Do I believe that we can see an elevated Kyler Murray, which is what you need in order for this team to actually be legit, and I forget exactly how you phrase it now. Scheme expansion and whatnot to actually elevate this Minnesota Viking team, to actually truly make them great, to truly make them the perennial contender that quite frankly a team like this should be, especially with the coaching on both sides of the ball. It's like that to me is where there is a gigantic question marks for both sides, for both Kevin O'Connell and Kyler Murray. So, that's where I'm at with this whole thing right now. I'm still not even abandoning J.J. McCarthy. I'm interested. It does feel like obviously Kyler has all the momentum. I mean, I think that's kind of a given in this moment in time, but like, yeah, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion, and I don't think it's a slam dunk where like, you know, I don't know. I think there's more question marks with regards to how successful something like this can be, than people are willing to admit. Like even in the show right now, and they were just like, oh, we're trying to, and he was obviously joking. He was like trying to, you know, build some drama here. And it's just like there's such an uncomfortableness of people getting on camera, wearing a suit and tie and being like, I don't know, man. You know, like this can go in many different directions. Some good, some not so good, some downright bad, maybe great, but like I don't know. Like people are very uncomfortable living in that space. And I love it, and I just because I think it's real. I think it's the reality. And so that's why I kind of said like I think a move like this helps the floor, but in terms of does it truly elevate the ceiling that a lot of people are trying to just guarantee because it sounds great. I think you know in this moment of time it's a lot of wishful thinking. It doesn't mean that it's not going to happen, but it's you're not act, that's why you're inventing things here. You're inventing things. Inventing that Sam Darnold had an inferior skill set and then he was simply then elevated with Kevin. No, he had the skill set and Kevin It was awesome at putting Sam Darnold in that very position to succeed. Like that's what we saw ultimately when you have a great skill set and you're a great quarterback at the end of the day. The ultimate job of that coordinator in that moment of time, that play caller, is going to just consistently put his players, whether it's Justin Jefferson, whether it's Sam Darnold, you know, whatever, whoever, to put them in the positions to succeed. Put them in positions to succeed. Counter that with bad coaching, and even when you have good enough players, use Eagles as a reference point. Kevin Patchello could, snorts, not put the players in positions to succeed. And for them, it was a double-edged sword, because in the moments that he actually did put them in positions to succeed, you have like A.J. Brown dropping balls now and whatnot. And then you're just like, that's when things really kind of start to spiral. We saw that a little bit actually in year one with Caleb Williams. It was like, what was his name? Whatever his name was, the OC who got fired, Shane Waldron. He did a terrible job of putting them in positions to succeed, but in the off chance that he actually did, Caleb Williams would throw the ball like 10 feet over the guy's head and you would just be like, okay, now Caleb Williams actually makes a great throw and then he just gets dropped and you're just like, you guys, you're not going to win this way. You're not reliably putting the players in positions to succeed. When you actually do, they're not showing up. At least one of them is messing up. And to me, we saw that with Sam Darn and the Minnesota Vikings. He was able to put them in positions to succeed, and the moment he wasn't at all crumbled and he had no troubleshooting. Kevin O'Neill failed to troubleshoot from the Detroit Lions to the Los Angeles Rams, and I got burned by that because I said I believe that Kevin O'Neill will have an answer, and he did not. He simply did not. And we haven't gotten the opportunity to see him be able to do that all last season, because last season was just, you know, a great big mess, quite frankly. And so, yeah, that's what I'm going to be looking to kind of witness and see here. And yeah, just the way I'm looking at it right now. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Minnesota Vikings, Kyler Murray, this idea of scheme expansion? I think that's the way he phrased it. I kept repeating it that way. So hopefully that's what he actually said. But let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get to some discussions. Let's get to some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.